Authorities aim to move the damaged plane from the sea within 1 week. Plane crash victims' families plea for a comprehensive investigation. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Authorities continue its investigations into the cause of yesterday's runway incident that resulted in 2 deaths after an Emirates cargo plane crashed into a patrol vehicle soon after landing. This as the airport authority says it aims to remove all the remaining debris of the damaged aircraft within 1 week. Timothy Lee tells us more.
Parts of the damaged Emirates cargo plane remain lying under breakwater just outside the airport's north runway. A view from another angle shows the front of the plane facing towards the runway, with portions of its wing ripped off. The incident happened at around 4 a.m. yesterday when the Emirati aircraft suddenly swerved left after landing on a north runway. It subsequently exited the runway after crashing through a fence before hitting a patrol vehicle. The latter fell into the sea, with the 2 men aboard the vehicle later confirmed dead. The airport authorities stressed the patrol vehicle was traveling at a distance of 162 meters from the central north runway, which constitutes a standard distance. According to communication records, aviation authorities said the cargo plane crew failed to issue any signals for help prior to its descent, adding that there were no irregularities in communication between the crew and the airport control tower prior to the incident.
Approach, good night, Emirates 9788, descending flight level 110, unrestricted, inbound, contact.
Emirates 9788, runway 07S, turn left direct to lines, meeting high speed.
Direct to lines and runway U06 left and high speed approach.
The airport authority noted it has already determined the location of the black box at the tail of the plane, adding that personnel have already been deployed to seize the device. Airport Operations Executive Director Stephen Yu said authorities have already contacted crews of vessels in Guangdong Province that specialize in the salvaging of aircraft debris. He hopes the entire salvage and cleanup procedure will be completed within a week. As of now, the airport authority noted the damaged fence outside the north runway has already been repaired, but the runway itself will be used for backup purposes once it reopens. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
Families of the 2 victims killed in the Emirates cargo plane accident have urged the airline to explain the incident. Secretary for Transport and Logistics Mabel Chan says authorities will make every effort to facilitate follow-up work. The victims' families took to the Kwaichung Public Mortuary to identify the bodies of their loved ones. One of the deceased, a 30-year-old aviation security team head. His sister expressed gratitude to the security company and the airport authority for their assistance after the incident, but slammed the airline for failing to follow up actively. The victim's sister says they have not received any condolences or response from Emirates up until this moment. She questions their sense of responsibility, noting while their 4 crew members are safe, someone needs to care for the 2 victims being knocked into the sea. Choking in tears, another family member says the victim, only 30 years old, was the one who took care of their parents, as well as his wife and 1-year-old daughter. Emirates, we only want an answer. What exactly caused the crash, they say. The other victim was a 41-year-old patrol car driver survived by his wife, a 7-year-old son, and his elderly mother. The victim's mother knows there were plenty of dubious issues in the accident, hoping that the police can complete investigation soon and give them an explanation, especially when her son was the family's breadwinner. While meeting the press, the sister of the deceased security team had passed out, overwhelmed by emotion. It is understood the 4 crew members of the cargo flight were taken to a police station yesterday and met with officials from the Turkish Consulate General in Hong Kong, but no statements were recorded. Secretary for Transport and Logistics Mabel Chan says at an aviation event that authorities will work to handle follow-up matters comprehensively, including assistance offered to affected families. The US President and Australian Prime Minister signed a massive mineral deal as Donald Trump puts more pressure on China for imposing tougher export rules on rare earths. In Washington, the two leaders described the $8.5 billion deal as next level, but it came after a tricky time between the two allies at the start of Trump's term. David Garrett reports.
Much media as Donald Trump says he's doing a big deal with a big friendly country on crucial rare earth minerals.
We are discussing critical minerals and rare earths, and we're going to be signing an agreement that's been negotiated over a period of 4 or 5 months. And it was sort of good timing that we got it done just in time for the visit. And we worked together very much on rare earths, critical minerals, and lots of other things. And we've had a very good relationship. We've been working on that for quite a while.
A previous US-Australia trade agreement was wrecked. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese had said Trump's actions were not that of a friend. After arriving in America, he struck an alternate tone.
We are great friends and we're great allies. And this is a relationship that's been forged in the battlefields of the world. We have stood side by side for freedom and democracy. Love America, and I think Americans kind of like Australia too.
And with that, it was time to sign an $8.5 billion deal in rich rare earth resources on what Albanese called a significant day. It comes after Trump threatened China with huge new tariffs last week as Beijing implements new requirements for foreign companies to get approval from the central government to export magnets containing even trace amounts of the much sought-after materials. Trump says he wouldn't play the rare earth game with China, and China has had its say.
The global industrial and supply chains have been forged as the result of the market and companies' choices. Key mineral provider countries need to play a positive role for defending the security and stability of industrial and supply chains and ensure normal economic and trade cooperation.
Beijing says there's no new information to add when Trump says he'll come to China early next year and expects a great deal for both countries when he meets with President Xi Jinping at the APEC summit in South Korea next month. David Garrett, TVB News.
President Donald Trump said that the U.S. commands great respect from Beijing and that he will reach a fantastic deal with Chinese President Xi Jinping when the two leaders meet soon. Trump's remarks come after Beijing infuriated him by expanding export controls on rare earth products. All eyes are on a potential meeting between Trump and Xi on the sidelines of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit at the end of the month. Beijing has yet to announce plans for Xi to make the trip to South Korea.
I want to be good to China. I love my relationship with President Xi. We have a great relationship. I've been invited to go to China, and I'll be doing that sometime fairly early next year. We have it sort of set. I think when we finish our meetings in South Korea, China and I will have a really fair and really great trade deal together. I want them to buy soybeans. They stopped buying our soybeans because they thought that was punishment. And it is punishment to our farmers, but we're not going to allow that to happen.
And still ahead, Britain's King Charles meets survivors of Manchester's synagogue attack. More than 500 cases of flu reported in Hong Kong schools since last month. And tropical cyclone heading away, but Hong Kong enters a cold spell. Welcome back. U.S. President Donald Trump marked last weekend's No Kings protests by reposting an AI-generated video of him flying a fighter jet emblazoned with the words King Trump. King Trump is obviously donning a gold crown in the video as he pilots the plane before dumping brown sludge onto the No Kings anti-Trump protesters in the AI-generated cityscape. When asked about the video, Vice President J.D. Vance said he found it funny. It's not the first time an AI-generated video has been posted on Trump's timeline, which is full of edited memes and videos professing praise for the president and his allies while mocking his political enemies. No Kings protests were seen in all 50 states on Saturday, with millions coming out against the Trump administration. The UK's King Charles visited the synagogue in Manchester, where 2 Jewish men were killed during Yom Kippur after a knife-wielding man carried out an anti-Semitic attack. The king met several survivors who were inside during the attack, including Rabbi Daniel Walker, who was praised for his bravery. The assailant told police he was acting for Islamic State and was wearing what looked like an explosive vest. He was killed by armed officers who may also have inadvertently shot at one of the worshippers. The Israeli military carried out airstrikes in southern Gaza on Sunday in response to Hamas opening fire on Israeli forces. Israel then resumed implementing the ceasefire agreement on Monday. Also on Monday, the country received another hostage's body from Hamas, which was sent to Tel Aviv for examination. Local police lined up to pay their respects. In Gaza's Khan Yunis, a convoy transporting supplies passed through the ruins. Taking advantage of the ceasefire, residents rushed to distribution centers to queue for aid. But according to the recipients, the supplies they received were minimal and insufficient for daily needs. U.S. President Donald Trump said the ceasefire still holds, but warned Hamas to stick to the agreement.
Hamas has been very violent, but they don't have the backing of Iran anymore. They don't have the backing of really anybody anymore. They have to be good. And if they're not good, they'll be eradicated.
Since the start of the academic year in September, at least 550 influenza cases have been reported in schools, with nearly 300 of them occurring in elementary schools. A primary school in Kowloon has stepped up efforts to mitigate the spread of colds while students head back to class. Samantha Lee with more details.
It's that time of year again, when many students go back to in-person learning. Parents and school administrators have to deal with infectious diseases. The city logged 556 school flu cases since the new school year began in September, with more than half coming from primary schools. In face of this, infection control measures are put in place in this elementary school. After school, janitors are cleaning classrooms with 1 in 49 diluted bleach.
If more than three students in the same class have such, for example, such symptoms, coughing, fever, and sore throat, that means the class maybe have a spreading of the virus. So we will use some cleaning methods to solve those problems.
When students with viruses on their hands touch buttons or other frequently handled surfaces, those viruses might be able to transfer to other kids' hands when they touch them minutes or hours later.
A few parents will concerned about that because they will worry about their children may affected by the flu. So they will ask schools to ask other students wear masks.
On top of that, thermal imaging cameras are installed to help spot sick students as they enter the school. Meanwhile, the authorities called on residents to get vaccinated early. As of now, some 2,300 schools have taken part in the outreach program. 94% of them have scheduled to complete the vaccinations by the end of November. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
The Audit Commission is urging the government to strengthen integrity screening on suppliers following the procurement of suspected counterfeit bottled water. This says Xinding Xin Trading, the supplier involved in the counterfeit bottled water saga, has directors and shareholders who were previously arrested on suspicion of fraud. The company has submitted a no-conviction declaration during its tender application. The Audit Commission suggests government departments require tenderers to give consent to criminal record checks. But police expressed reservations, saying criminal records are highly sensitive data. Currently, certificates of no criminal conviction are issued solely for purposes including visa, study, or residency applications. The review panel on government procurement, chaired by Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury Christopher Hui, has proposed 6 immediate measures, including stronger due diligence checks. Hong Kong's latest unemployment rate between July and September has climbed to 3.9%, with the construction sector being the hardest hit, which saw a jobless rate at 7.2%. The 3-month jobless rate is 0.2 percentage point higher than the preceding June to August period. The underemployment rate remained unchanged at 1.6%. Some local construction workers say the import scheme of non-local staff has led to job losses among local ones. Development Secretary Bernadette Lin, meanwhile, wrote in a newspaper article that the recent rise in construction unemployment mainly stems from the slowdown in private sector property projects. She explained that construction involves multiple stages and trade with labor demand fluctuating as projects progress. All tropical cyclone warnings, including the strong wind signal number 3, were lowered at 6:20 p.m. And a severe tropical storm Fengshen is moving away from Hong Kong. The city has become notably cooler today. With a combined influence of Fengshen and the northeast monsoon, the city is experiencing stronger winds. By midday, the mercury across the territory was between 4 and 7 degrees Celsius lower than yesterday.
10-15 years ago, by the time it's the Mid-Autumn Festival, but usually these days it's pretty warm by the time. And now it's starting to get colder, so yeah, absolutely enjoying the good weather finally.
Not so excited, coming from France, it's getting really cold right now, so I'm kind of happy to have a little bit of warm weather here.
The Hong Kong Observatory says Fengshen is gradually moving away from Hong Kong.
The outer ring bands of Fengshen will affect the vicinity of the Pearl River estuary and the coast of Guangdong today. The weather is expected to be appreciably cooler.
The mercury is set to dip to around 19 degrees Celsius from today through Thursday. But don't put away your summer clothes just yet, as the heat's set to come back over the weekend, with the temperature reaching a high of 30 degrees on Saturday and Sunday. The forecaster adds that the skies will be clear over the latter part of the week. And that's the news. Stay warm and thank you for watching.